So Amy Cloudbootjar, or as we call her, Queen Stapler Lady. I say that because I think she threw a stapler at one of her staffers. I'm not 100% sure on that, but Stapler Lady sounds funny, or Stapler Queen, so we're going to go with that anyway. Anyway, so she is in some hot water because she made some comments that many on the left are furious over her about. So let's go through it here. This is in CNN, and I might hit you with a little bit of a surprising take. We'll see. All right. Klobuchar says she supports allowing abortion restrictions in late pregnancy. Okay. Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar said Sunday she supports allowing limitations on abortion in the third trimester of pregnancy, wading into the thorny political debate of abortion procedure timeframes. Quote, I support allowing for limitations in the third trimester that do not interfere with the life or health of the women, Klobuchar told CNN's Dana Bash on State of the Union, while also reaffirming her support for codifying Roe versus Wade. Keep that in mind. The third trimester in a pregnancy begins at 27 weeks. Less than 1% of abortions are performed at 21 weeks or later, according to a 2020 report from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Abortion has become an especially potent political topic in the years since the monumental U.S. Supreme Court decision 1 year ago to overturn Roe v. Wade and eliminate the federal constitutional right to abortion nationwide. More than a dozen U.S. states have banned or severely restricted access to the procedure since the ruling. Quote, what I support, and I will be very clear about this, is Roe v. Wade, which does allow for limitations, but it also protects the life of the woman and the health of the woman, Klobuchar said Sunday. I think that this is the best way to go. But you look at what they're doing, their leading Republican candidates, Dana, are asking for abortion bans. Trump was on just last night gloating about how he had put the Supreme Court justices in place that had reversed Roe v. Wade. Klobuchar has long articulated the need for some restrictions on late-term abortions, telling Bloomberg in 2019, quote, there are limits in the third trimester that are very important about, except for the health of the woman. In the 2022 midterms, abortion was a crucial motivator for many voters, as CNN exit polls showed that 46% of people said that abortion was the most important issue to their vote. Abortion is also likely to be a cornerstone of President Joe Biden's re-election campaign as administration officials highlight what Democrats have done to protect access to abortion. By the way, it ain't much, dog. It ain't much. Quote, MAGA Republicans made clear that they don't intend to stop with the Dobbs decision. No, they won't until they get a national ban on abortion, Biden said this week, promising to issue a veto if a national ban is ever passed by Congress. So my theory on this is I think a lot of people just saw this headline, like lefties saw this headline and just immediately started dunking on Klobuchar. Because, again, the headline is Klobuchar says she supports allowing abortion restrictions in late pregnancy. So they kind of interpreted this as like Klobuchar is a Republican on abortion or Klobuchar is a right-wing on abortion. But if you read the specifics of what she says, she's saying, I support codifying Roe versus Wade. Now, how did Roe versus Wade work? Well, Roe versus Wade is the first trimester. It is a right to get an abortion. The second trimester, it is mostly a right, but there can be some limited restrictions. And then the third trimester, you leave it up to the states. And so when you had Roe versus Wade in place, yes, you had a lot of red states where, specifically in that third trimester, they were more restrictive. And blue states were more lenient. But like Roe versus Wade, for those of you who don't know, and I think my audience knows this, it is a moderate position. Roe versus Wade is not, okay, it's a constitutional right to an abortion and it goes up literally until the day the baby is about to be born. That's not how it works. That's never how it worked. And so I think it's just like lazy of people to see this headline and be like, oh, she lost my vote forever. Well, honestly, I wouldn't be running to the polls to vote for Klobuchar anyway, but a lot of people are really pissed about this. But I think her position is actually totally the correct position. And she even says, and she's right about this too, yeah, there could be late-term restrictions, but when it comes to health of the mother and life of the mother, well, of course you have an exception for that. So her position, I think, is the correct position. But, either people didn't read the article or, and this is where it gets questionable in my opinion, or I guess you have lefties who are, some of them, who are full on like, no, literally up until the moment of birth, it is totally fine, even if it isn't for health of the mother, even if it isn't for life of the mother. So you could just not get your abortion for 9 whole months, and the day before you're about to give birth, yeah, it's fine to do it. No questions asked, no nothing, you could just do that. Well, guys, I hate to break it to you, but that's a psycho position. That is not like, you have to think about these things intelligently and specifically and include all the nuance. So that is, I guess some would take that position on the left, and some on the right would say, and we know this because they're trying to implement this vis-a-vis law, like from the moment of conception. Or not even that. Some people say the second you're done having sex, there's another person in the room. And so they would try to ban a morning after pill. They would try to ban the abortion pill. They try to ban it within the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And that is an incredibly draconian position. But look, I think Klobuchar is 100% right here. I don't, the hate against her on this, I think is just wrong. She said she supports Roe versus Wade. She says Republicans are cracking down on abortion, and they shouldn't be. And she's against it. And she says, yeah, you could have some restrictions in late term. That's literally where the overwhelming majority of the American people are on that issue, and that's where I am as well. And I think that's where you or anybody should be. I think it's the most reasonable position. And oftentimes, look, you hate to say it, but it's true. I do feel like people on the left sometimes get baited into becoming the caricature of themselves that the right makes them out to be. You know? So if you're willing to argue abortion up until the last minute, no questions asked, no health regulations at any point, even late term, that's an extreme position. And that's radical, and people are not going to agree with that. And so then you fall into the trap of then they get to turn around and say, see, they want to kill babies. That's what they want to do. That's what they want to do. And so, like, think it through, right? Don't become a caricature of what a lefty is supposed to be. We're supposed to be intelligent about these things. And it's the people on the right who are the ones who are, you know, really hardcore, world is black and white, the moment you're done having sex. And it's like, let's not be the mirror opposite extreme of that. So anyway, rare, instance here in secular talk history, but full defense of Cloud Boot Jar on this one. I think she's totally right. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.